same old Sevilla, always winning in the Europa League. At least they have done it again. Dramatic circumstances, as you'd expect. Bedlam in Budapest. I've seen it all now. A penalty retaken to win the tournament for encroachment.
But they would have another go as well, though. They had another chance. I mean, it wasn't down to that they couldn't have won it if the referee hadn't.
But for Montiel, he thinks, I'm going to be the hero again. I miss, and then he gets to be the hero.
Yeah, but I think Bono was the hero with the saves. I mean, we saw that vital touch on the Ibanez penalty. It's a brilliant two great saves from Ibanez and Mancini. But Sevilla, look, I agree with Jerry. I thought Roma were the better team in the first half. They made chances, defended well. They stopped Sevilla getting into any great rhythm and getting their attacking players into the match. But after that, they were the team trying to win the match, Sevilla, and you know, didn't make any clear-cut chances, but they were dominating possession and trying to get players forward.
Do you agree with that, Damien?
Yeah, just about. You know, if there was any team that really was looking to win it, it was Sevilla. They were trying. You know, Roma looked like they were just hell-bent on disrupting the game and making it as difficult for Sevilla as possible. Look, it wasn't a great final. An amazing end. You know, I did think in my head, VAR still active for encroachment. And it was. No, I didn't.
What do you think Jose's going to say about that?
Yeah, I think
we haven't seen that back, so I don't know if it was
paid good money to see his interview afterwards.
I wouldn't. I'm not interested.
No, just want to see his interview afterwards, because it'll be explosive when you think of like the penalty decision with the handball that he'll probably say he should have got. The fact that so many Roma players were booked. I'm pretty sure he'll have an awful lot to say for himself after that game, especially if he's going out, because he's had issues with referees in Serie A all year. And I think he'll have a big one to say. And if he's on his way out at Roma, which it's possible he is, I think he'll go out in a blaze of glory.
There's no sign of him at the moment. Let's take a quick break. We'll get you back in time, though, to say Sevilla, there it is, their favourite trophy. They're going to be lifting it for the 7th time. That familiar winning feeling for Sevilla fans, for Roma, devastation. Paulo Dybala in tears. He had put Roma ahead in the first half of this evening's final. That seems a long time ago now, doesn't it? Both in time and in emotion and in events over the last couple of hours. Sevilla celebrate once again 7 out of 7 in Europa League finals for them in dramatic circumstances. It was not a classic. Over 120 minutes, 140 odd when you add injury time. Dramatic penalty shootout, though. Here are the main moments, and it was Yassine Bounou, hero for Morocco in the World Cup, Damien. Hero for Sevilla this evening.
You go down the middle, and you always expect the goalkeeper to move, but he does really well to get his legs to that, maybe a little bit more height. And then this one, he does get a touch on it.
It's the barest fingertip, isn't it?
I'm not sure it would have had any major impact. I think it was probably going to hit the post anyway, if you look at it. Of course he's going to claim he's got a touch on it, he deserves. And then the big moment with the retake here.
Yeah, we're going to try and get you that Montiel a penalty twice taken. It was all set up for Montiel to be the hero, and he stood up as he did in the World Cup final, potentially the decisive penalty. So we haven't been given a better angle than that. Here you go.
Yeah, he does take a step. You can see it there before he is.
Both feet are
fair cop, Brian,
ahead of the line. Both feet are ahead of the line as Montiel makes contact with the ball on the first penalty.
What a season he's had. He's not a starter for either team, but he's been the hero for both Argentina and Sevilla.
It's not bad getting to win the penalty, the World Cup final, the Europa League final. But again, I said that I think Sevilla overall were the team trying to take the game to Roma and trying to win the match. Roma were, I don't know why they wanted to settle for penalty kicks.
Yeah, that's a long way off there, to be fair. Both feet are well off.
Feet are out.
And again, as you both said, the officials did a pretty good job this evening controlling the chaos that was going on in the Puskás Arena in Budapest. The big hero this evening, we saw him just before the break there, taking the acclaim and celebrating with the players. Players they only met a couple of months ago as Jose Luis Mendilibar, 62 years old. It was described, I read an article where it was described he's almost in semi-retirement when he was called in. Listen, keep us up.
That was only because he
Sevilla.
hadn't got a job, Tommy.
All managers
There's
are.
a lot of fellas. Other people say they're in semi-retirement. But look, he got a 3-month contract. I think they might offer him an extension if he wants to take it on. But, you know, he's managed teams like Alves and Eibar and, you know, lower teams in the division. Villa de Lead, he won the 2nd division.
That's his only previous honour, isn't it?
With the current trend in the Premier League, if I was him, I'd hang tough, because I'd say the phone would be ringing off the hook next March.
He's shooing for
Watford soon.
Yes. Has he not managed Watford already?
It's got Burnley in March written all over it.
Yeah. It's great though. I mean, you know,
It's great. And he said in the quote before the match, he kind of represented all the managers who would never work with good players, right? and survived, you know. So I think it's a brilliant story. He's been scrapping away down near the bottom of the league with lots of teams for years, doing all right, and was always considered a very decent manager and a good guy. And people liked the way his teams attempted to play, that they didn't just try to sit in and survive, defend and survive. So it's a brilliant story and brilliant night for him. And what a story is Sevilla to do this once again. I mean, it's a hard competition to win.
Yeah.
To do it again like this is amazing.
Like 7 finals, that's the 3rd time out of the 7 now that they've won it on penalties. Like if you were lining up against Sevilla in a final in the future, like you just think,
just a belief.
Don't believe in the supernatural, but
to believe that
this crowd
that probably runs through the whole city, that this is their tournament, this is why they're here, and belief is such a huge thing, and positive feelings. You know, I mean, it's amazing in fairness. And I suppose we have to mention as well the Champions League. They're going to be playing Champions League football next year, currently comfortably in mid-table in La Liga. I know there's only 1 game left, but you know, they never looked any in danger in relegation. Once Mendilibar came in, they win this and they get Champions League football next year. Incredible.
That's a huge thing, isn't it? You know, since that's been brought in as a benefit of winning the Europa League, it has leveraged the tournament up a lot, and it's a big blow for Roma, because financially they're on the sort of edge with financial fair play. And you know, I wonder, was Mourinho hanging around waiting to see how that would go and whether players would have to be sold? I mean, they're devastated for obvious reasons, but for the club it's a double-edged sword as well, Damien.
Yeah, huge. You know, but you know, they can have no complaints. You know, a final, there has to be some element of you going to win it. Now, I don't mind. You know, I'll happily sit and watch a team play defensive football and counter-attacking, and you know, set up to not lose a game. But when all the rigmarole that goes with it, you know, the moan and the scratching, the asking for yellow cards, the diving, Pellegrini's dive, fair play to Anthony Taylor for calling it, an atrocious moment in a final to do that. I mean, no, he actually tried to initiate contact, couldn't, still went over, and then still had the gall to argue with Anthony Taylor, saying it was a penalty when he was getting booked, when it was an atrocious moment. But they didn't deserve it for the way they approached the final. You know, not just tactics-wise, but the bench all night.
The haranguing of the referee, you know, the haranguing of the 4th official, it's just not nice.
I think there was 3.
I mean, we've had a lot of great football this year. We've brilliant World Cup and brilliant World Cup final, and teams playing above themselves and producing great goals, great moments. And with a great Premier League season this season, with fabulous football right through the year. But this sort of game and this idea that I believe, I understand defensive football, and I understand managers making the best of what they have and playing deep and playing the counter-attack and so on. But I agree with Damien, all the other bit around it is just unseemly. And Jose said recently he's changed, and you know, he was a more mature man in his DNA.
Said he was a better person with the same, better manager, better person with the same DNA.
To win.
I think his point was, it's still the same. Well, sorry, the evidence is still the same approach.
Well, I didn't see any graciousness after the match there with him. I haven't seen him. I mean, we're only seeing the pictures we see, but I haven't seen him going and congratulating the opposition. I haven't seen any of that with him, and you rarely do. I've said it before. It's always about him, about his trophies. I never hear mention of any of the staff that work with him, how great they are. I saw an article where he said the other day you have to have all sorts of different people working with you. It's very hard now. There he is out in the middle.
But he does, no, to be fair, I mean, people around Roma, reading quotes from Vincenzo Montella, who was a player back when they won the league in 2001, says this is the best feeling around the club since back then. Like, he has created something there that they seem to be buying into for whatever reasons, and there's a negative side to that. I mean, as Brian said before the game, they've had 13 people on the bench between himself and other assistants sent off in games throughout the season. 3 more yellow cards for the bench this evening, as well as all the rest of it. But
look, he loves creating this us against the world kind of atmosphere and circling the wagons type thing. You see him there, the way he has all his players circling, he's talking to them, telling them how proud he is. So look, he's an excellent manager. It's just that sometimes he crosses over the line and his team cross over the line because he is that combative type personality. And I just think they'd have been better off approaching this from a footballing point of view. And trying to win it, and at least if you lost it from a football point of view, you could say, well, fair enough. But I think they'll have regrets with how they played tonight and how they approached it, and what the game descended into. And it's very hard if you're Sevilla not to get dragged into that. I mean, it must be very difficult for Mendilibar stood on the sideline watching Mourinho constantly, and you'd be worried going, is he going to influence this? Is Mourinho's personality going to turn Anthony Taylor? And is he going to get something? Is he going to get a penalty? Is he going to get a red card because of his constant haranguing? And in fairness to Sevilla, they kept their cool as best they possibly could. It's very, very difficult when that's going on around you because you're worried.
And it is as a manager. It is as a manager. The other managers behaving like that. As you said, you wonder, should I behave like that? Should I react to that? But I think he kept his head tonight and he got his reward in the end by his team winning. I'm glad for him.
He did, yeah, because, I mean, I said it a few minutes ago, his sum total of his achievements in the game, although, you know, respected within Spanish football, was a second division title with Valladolid 17 years ago. So he, you know, I can understand he might have thought, like, is this what you're supposed to do at this sort of stage?
Oh, I think he's so experienced. He's seen it all. I mean, he would have watched all the managers over the years and would have competed against Mourinho before, I'm sure, when he was at Real Madrid, when he was with one of those lower down teams in the league. And he'd seen it all. I'm sure he knew what to expect. But you know,
but you know, this is his moment in the sunlight.
Absolutely.
Like the pressure that was on him. So just to your point there, like, I know he's seen it all before, but he's like, this is my moment. This is my shot. This is my you know, I serve my time.
I meant seen it all before in terms of Jose's
carrying on
behaviour on the touchline and his influence is trying to influence the referees and officials.
I think we can hear from one of the victors, a man who's done it all in the game, Rakitic, and a guy who's made the city of Seville his home, and a lot of them tend to do that. It's obviously a pretty nice place to live and enjoy your football, especially when they're winning like that.
Yeah, well, look, he's had a marvellous career. He went at Barcelona, and then he went back to Sevilla when you would have thought he was nearly finished, and now he has this glory again with Sevilla. I mean, I thought he was smashing in the match tonight, running the game, and particularly after they lost the goal, I thought he played very, very well. Along with Navas was outstanding. Goodell played very well also for them. And I think they, just on your point about Roma be disappointed with how they play it, and I'm kind of disappointed that with the likes of Spinazzola, Pellegrini, Dybala played quite well, Cristante, Italian international players, and they showed nothing in the game tonight of the quality they have as attacking players, skillful players. It was all about getting back, getting tucked in, defending in numbers.
And then no ambition when...
Never getting numbers forward to get support to Abraham when he was on the pitch.
Yeah, we saw Jose Mourinho there just a few seconds ago. He's got his runners-up medal, he's taken it off, he's walked off, and I wonder, is he walking off into the sunset? He's done that on a number of previous occasions, hasn't he, with winners' medals. Did it Porto, went off to Chelsea, did it Inter, went off to Real, to bigger and better things. Wonder what the future holds for Mourinho now. I wonder if his stock will continue to be high, and whether his future lies at Roma or elsewhere. But tonight it is all about Sevilla, and they will be getting the Europa League trophy very shortly.